The restaurant overlooking Lake Michigan was packed. 120 people, white orchids everywhere, a 4-tier cake glowing under soft gold lights. I stood there in the navy silk dress I'd chosen months ago, smiling while everyone sang. 50 candles flickered. Gregory Harper, my husband of 24 years, leaned over with that perfect smile he uses for clients and slid a thick cream envelope across the linen tablecloth. "Happy birthday, Evelyn," he said loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Time for a new chapter." I opened it right there. Divorce papers, signed by him, dated yesterday. A hush fell over the tables. Someone's glass clinked too hard. My mother-in-law Marlene sat 2 seats away, sipping champagne, watching like this was the dinner show she'd paid for. I felt every pair of eyes on me. My cheeks burned, but I didn't cry. Not yet. That night, everything I thought we had built together cracked wide open. And what Gregory didn't know was that I had already seen the messages, the withdrawals, the lies. I was ready. If you've ever been blindsided in front of people you love, stay with me. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this one goes from celebration to courtroom. And trust me, you'll want to see how it ends. 3 weeks earlier, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning to the low murmur of Gregory's voice outside our bedroom door. He thought I was asleep. He always did when he crept out to take those late calls. I lay perfectly still, heart already racing, and listened. "The lake house has to be in my name alone after the party," he was saying, voice tight with excitement. "Lauren keeps asking when we can move in, Mom. She's tired of waiting." Marlene's reply came sharp through the speaker. "Then make sure Evelyn signs the quitclaim at the restaurant." "One signature, Gregory, and it's done. I already talked to the attorney." I pressed my hand over my mouth so no sound escaped. The lake house in Wisconsin had been mine long before I ever met Gregory Harper. My parents bought it the year I graduated college, put the deed in my name only. He knew that. Or he used to. He ended the call, slipped back into bed, and pulled the covers up like nothing had happened. I stared at the ceiling until the first gray light crept through the blinds, pieces clicking into place. The extra hours at the office, the new password on his phone, the way he'd started calling me Ev again, like we were still 30 and in love. By sunrise, I understood one thing clearly. My 50th birthday wasn't going to be a celebration. It was going to be an execution. The next morning, Gregory was already at the kitchen island, dressed for the gym he hadn't visited in years. He slid a single red rose across the marble toward me, like he could erase what I'd heard hours earlier. "Morning, birthday girl," he said, flashing the grin that used to make my stomach flip. 50 looks good on you, Ev." I took the rose, careful not to let my fingers shake. "Thank you." He poured coffee he didn't drink and kept talking, fast, too bright. "I've been thinking we should do something huge for the big day. Private room at the signature room, everyone we know. Let's show Chicago how strong we still are." Strong. The word tasted like metal in my mouth. While he showered, I picked up his phone from the counter. The lock screen was a photo of us from last summer, both smiling at the lake house dock. I typed in the new passcode I'd watched him enter 2 nights ago. 0826, Lauren Whitaker's birthday. It opened. The messages were right at the top. "Can't wait to wake up there every weekend once it's ours."
"Soon, baby. Just need her signature."
"You promised after the party I get to redecorate the master."
"Anything you want."
I scrolled up. Transfers from our joint account, $48,000 over 6 weeks, jewelry, hotel suites, a deposit on a white Range Rover titled in her name. I took photos of everything, set the phone exactly where he'd left it, and walked to the window. The city sparkled 32 floors below like nothing was breaking. Gregory came out toweling his hair. "You okay, Ev? You look pale." "Just thinking about the guest list," I said, and managed a smile that didn't reach my eyes. He kissed my forehead and left for work. The door clicked shut, and only then did I let myself breathe. That afternoon, the doorbell rang while I was still standing at the same window. Marlene Harper let herself in with the spare key she'd never returned, even after 24 years. "Evelyn, dear," she said, air kissing somewhere near my cheek, "I came to help with the party plans." She set her designer purse on my counter like she owned the place and started opening drawers for a notepad that wasn't hers. I poured her coffee she didn't ask for. She took one sip and launched in. "You know, at your age, it's smart to get affairs in order. Gregory mentioned the lake house might need a new deed, just in case something happens to you." Her eyes flicked to the framed photo of the property above the fireplace. "Family should stay in family." I set my cup down slowly. "The lake house is already in family, Marlene, my family." She waved a manicured hand. "Details, Evelyn. Lawyers love details. My friend Richard can have papers ready in days. One little signature and everyone sleeps better." When she finally left, perfume trailing behind her like smoke, I locked the door she still had a key to and called Rachel Brooks. Rachel and I went to Northwestern together. She's been a family law partner downtown for 15 years. She answered on the second ring. "I need to see you today," I said, voice steady for the first time all week. "Office at 4, she answered without questions. By the time I reached her 42nd floor suite, the sky over the lake had turned the color of steel. Rachel closed the door, poured 2 glasses of water, and looked me straight in the eye. "Tell me everything." So I did. The phone calls, the messages, the money, the quitclaim deed they wanted me to sign at my own birthday dinner. Rachel listened without interrupting, then leaned forward. "First, the lake house is 100% your separate property. Your parents paid cash, title never changed. Second, we document every dollar he's moved. Third, you do not react until I say. Can you do that?" I nodded. "Good," she said, "because they're about to hand you the best birthday gift they'll never see coming." 1 week before the party, I started moving money. Not in a panic, quietly. The way you pack a go bag you hope you'll never need. Half of the joint savings, $230,000, went into an account at a different bank under only my name. Gregory never noticed. He was too busy approving the $14,000 floral deposit for a dinner he thought would bury me. On Wednesday, I drove to the title company in Waukegan, where my parents closed on the lake house 28 years ago. The same notary, now gray and slower, pulled the original file. "Still just Evelyn Marie Carter on the warranty deed," Mrs. Lang said, sliding the 1997 document across the desk. "Your husband was added to the mortgage in 2004 for refinancing, but never to the title. Legally, it never became marital property." I left with certified copies in a plain manila envelope. Thursday morning, a courier delivered a slim overnight package from Geneva. No return address, just my name typed in plain font. Inside was a single letter from Credit Suisse confirming that the growth portfolio I had opened in 2003 with my signing bonus money, the one Gregory always teased me for hiding in a foreign account, had matured to $4,200,000, liquid, untouchable by Illinois courts. I sat on the living room floor, envelope in my lap, and for the first time in weeks I laughed out loud. Not the polite wife laugh I'd perfected, a real one that startled the dog. Gregory came home that night carrying garment dags and a velvet box. "For the birthday girl," he said, opening it to reveal sapphire earrings that probably cost more than most people's rent. "Lauren helped pick them out. She has excellent taste." I touched the stones and smiled the way he expected. They're beautiful, thank you. He kissed my cheek, already distracted by his phone buzzing with another message from her. I went to bed early, folder of documents under my side of the mattress, and slept better than I had in months. The night before my 50th, Gregory locked himself in his study right after dinner. He said he was finalizing vendor contracts, but I knew better. I waited until the house went quiet, then walked barefoot down the hallway and pressed my ear to the door. He was pacing, phone on speaker. "Mom, I'll stand up right after the cake is served," he said, voice low but vibrating with anticipation. "I'll thank Evelyn for the years, then tell everyone the marriage has run its course. I'll say she's been distant, checked out, people will believe it. Then Richard will be there with the quitclaim. She'll sign in front of everyone or look like the villain if she refuses." Marlene's laugh crackled through the speaker. "And Lauren?" "She'll be at table 6, introduced as my new director of client relations, respectable. After Evelyn leaves in tears, Lauren moves to the head table." "Perfect," Marlene said. "One signature and the lake house is yours, free and clear. Lauren can start picking paint colors next week." I stood frozen until I heard him in the call. Then I slipped back to bed, pulled the covers to my chin, and stared at the dark ceiling until the alarm clock read 4:30. When Gregory finally came to bed, he smelled like whiskey and someone else's perfume. He reached for me out of habit. I pretended to be asleep. Tomorrow, he would learn what 24 years of being underestimated really costs. My 50th birthday arrived cold and bright, the kind of November day where the lake looks like polished steel. The signature room on the 95th floor of the John Hancock Center glowed gold and white. 120 guests in black tie filled the private dining room, city lights glittering behind them like a million witnesses. I wore the navy silk dress and the sapphire earrings Gregory gave me because tonight every detail had to look perfect for them. He kept his hand at the small of my back while we greeted people, smiling like the happiest husband in Chicago. Marlene circulated with champagne, telling everyone how proud she was of her son for throwing me such a spectacular party. Lauren Whitaker stood near the bar in a backless red dress, laughing too loud with Gregory's partners. Dinner passed in a blur of toasts and laughter I didn't feel. Then the lights dimmed, the 4-tier cake rolled out, and the room sang happy birthday. 50 candles flickered, cameras flashed. Gregory squeezed my waist and leaned close. "Ready for your surprise?" he whispered. I smiled. "More than you know." He took the microphone from the band leader, tapped it twice, and the room quieted. "Friends, family, thank you for being here on this milestone night," he began, voice warm and confident. "Evelyn Harper has been my partner for 24 years. She's given me a beautiful life, and tonight I want to give her something back. Honesty." A soft murmur rippled through the tables. "These last few years we've grown apart," he continued, turning to me with practiced sadness. "We want different things. I filed for divorce. It's the kindest thing I can do for both of us." Gasps. A fork clattered. Marlene dabbed her eyes with a napkin that never touched actual tears. Gregory pulled the envelope from his inside pocket and laid it on the tablecloth in front of me. "Everything is fair, Evelyn. Just sign, and we can both move forward with dignity." He stepped back, certain the room's pressure would force my hand. I stood slowly, took the microphone from its stand, and faced the stunned crowd. "Thank you, Gregory," I said, voice steady, almost gentle. "You're right about honesty, so let's all have some." I reached into the small clutch at my side and pulled out the manila folder I'd carried all evening. 3 weeks ago, I learned my husband was planning tonight as his big reveal. He and Marlene decided the lake house in Wisconsin, my separate property since 1997, paid for by my parents before I ever met Gregory, should become his after one quick signature. I opened the folder, held up the certified 1997 deed for the room to see. Here's the original title, My Name Only. Never retitled, never commingled. Illinois law is clear. It stays mine. A ripple of whispers turned into outright murmurs. Gregory's face drained of color. While we're being honest, I continued, Gregory has transferred $48,000 from our joint account in the last 6 weeks. Most of it went to jewelry, hotel rooms, and a white Range Rover for the woman in the red dress by the bar, Lauren Whitaker, 26, his new director of client relations. Phones came out. Cameras turned toward Lauren. She froze mid-sip, champagne sloshing over the rim. Gregory tried to step forward. Evelyn, this is not finished, I cut in softly. There's also the matter of my private investment account in Switzerland. $4,200,000 grown from a bonus I earned the year we married. Gregory used to joke that I was hiding money overseas. Turns out he was right. And tonight he almost threw away a woman who never needed his. I turned to the room. So no, Gregory, I won't be signing anything except my own new beginning. I laid the unsigned divorce papers on the cake right between the sugar roses and walked out while the room erupted behind me. The doors closed behind me and the noise exploded, chairs scraping, voices rising, someone shouting Gregory's name like a curse. I didn't look back. In the elevator down 95 floors, I caught my reflection in the mirrored wall. Navy silk, sapphire earrings, spine straight. I looked like a woman who had just won something. 6 months later, the judge's gavel in Cook County Circuit Court sounded exactly like freedom. Gregory stood in a cheap navy suit, 2 sizes too big now, eyes ringed purple from sleepless nights. The company he'd helped build for 20 years fired him the week after my birthday once the board saw the transfers and the Range Rover in Lauren's name. They filed their own suit for embezzlement. He took a plea for 18 months at Stateville, out in 11 with good behavior. Marlene lost the Gold Coast condo she'd put up to secure his legal fees. She moved to a 1-bedroom in Des Plaines and stopped answering when old friends called. Lauren kept the car, traded it in 6 weeks later for a down payment on a studio in Miami, and vanished from Chicago gossip by spring. I sold the downtown penthouse Gregory loved so much, kept every cent, and moved north to the lake house full-time. The quiet up there is different now. Mornings on the dock with coffee, no one asking where I've been or why I'm smiling. I started a small foundation in my mother's name, scholarships for women going back to school after 50. The first class starts next fall. Some nights I still hear the echo of that room, the gasps, the clatter of silverware when truth finally landed on the table. I don't play it for revenge anymore. I play it as proof. Underestimating the wrong woman on her 50th birthday can cost you everything. And getting it all back can feel exactly like turning 50 candles into sunrise. 6 months after the birthday that never really happened, I stood on the wide porch of the lake house watching the first snow dust the pines. The place still smelled like cedar and old books, exactly the way my parents left it. I was 50 and a half, single on paper, and richer than I had ever let myself admit. Inside, the mailman had just dropped a thick envelope from the clerk of Cook County. Final decree. No alimony, no split of the lake house, no claim on the Swiss account. Gregory got half the remaining joint checking, $11,000 after his restitution payments, and the old Jeep he once called beneath him. The judge's signature sat crisp and black at the bottom, like a period at the end of a very long sentence. Rachel came up for the weekend with a bottle of champagne and the kind of hug that says everything else is noise. "You did it clean," she said, clinking her glass against mine on the dock. "Most people drag it out for years." "I didn't have years to waste," I answered. She laughed and left Sunday night. Monday morning, I drove into town and signed the papers to expand the foundation. 10 full-ride scholarships a year now, all for women over 45 who want a second act. The first recipient is a former nurse from Rockford who starts architecture school in January. Gregory got out in early October. I know because the probation officer called to ask if I wanted the no-contact order extended. I said yes for 5 more years. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Marlene sent one letter, handwritten on cheap stationery, asking if we could meet for coffee and clear the air. I dropped it in the fireplace, unopened, and watched the edges curl orange. Lauren posted a photo from South Beach last month. New boyfriend, new nose, same red dress. The comments called her brave. I didn't bother reading past the first 10. These days, I wake before the sun, pad downstairs in socks, and start the coffee while the lake is still silver. The quiet is mine. The money is mine. The future is wide open, and for the first time in my life, entirely my own. 50 turned out to be the year I stopped explaining myself to people who never listened in the first place. And if you ever find yourself holding divorce papers over birthday cake while a room full of people waits for you to crumble, remember this. Sometimes the best revenge is waking up free on the other side of the fire.